Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody, and we are here today with a layout using this Cocoa Daisy kit. It's the Traveler's Notebook kit from August 2020. This is the first layout I'm doing with this kit, and I am totally inspired by this piece of paper that came from the kit and this photo. So I really like the way that the colors kind of pair. It's kind of got that like teal color in a lot of different places on this photo, and I also just I've got a lot of red tones in my skin, so that kind of picks up on the pink there. So what I've done, I've put out this 12 by 12 piece of paper. It's a super old one from SEI. I don't know what year, but this has got to be at least 5 or 6 years old, but we're going to use the black side here. So it's going to look something like this, and I really want to kind of fussy cut these out and pop them off the page, but still keep the teal. So I think I'm going to pull out the second piece of paper because I don't really like that side. So I think I'm going to take this piece of paper and cut them out, and then that way I can pop them up and overlap them over the photo and kind of have the photo nestled in with all the little flowers. So we're going to start there and then kind of see where this layout develops. I've got the entire kit here ready to work with, and that's pretty much all of my plans right now. I don't know what my title is going to be. I don't know what my journaling is going to say. Those are some things that I will kind of figure out as we go along. I'm going to pull out all of my supplies. Even though this is a Traveler's Notebook kit, I'm not actually going to use the Traveler's Notebook, but I will have all the other supplies. I even kept the tissue paper from the original kit. So I'm going to keep my inspiration pages, my instruction pages, and my Traveler's Notebook in here, but everything else we are going to pull out and possibly work with on this layout. So stay tuned. I'm going to put you on fast forward as we work. Now, I'm not doing 12 by 12 scrapbooking this year in my 2020 album, but this photo is from 2018, I think. So this is a little bit of an older photo, but I love still going back and scrapping older photos. I have a whole pile of, not supplies, well, I have a whole pile of supplies as well, but I have a whole pile of photos that are just sitting there ready for me to scrapbook. So at any point in time, anytime I feel inspired, I just kind of go through the little pile of photos. I've kind of got them noted as to what date or around about what date or what event that they're from. So it's fairly easy for me to kind of go back and figure out where they go in my album. And that's kind of how I work. I have all of my albums on a little rolling cart in my office. It's kind of like a rolling, well, it's really a rolling cart, but I use it like a rolling bookshelf basically, and it just holds all of my scrapbook albums that I've ever created. Now, they're starting to pile on top because the case is kind of full. But until I find a different solution, those are there. But what that means is that it's easy for me to pull out an album from 2016 and add a page in, or maybe pull out, my heritage album and add a page in, or pull out my current album and add a page in. I have all of my albums right there at my fingertips, so I can work on any photos at any point in time. Now, there's not a whole lot going on at this exact moment in this process video, but what I'm doing, and you can't see, is fussy cutting all of these flowers out. And I did decide on my title a little bit later using one of the puffy stickers as a good portion of my title, but I'm deciding that I'm not going to do any journaling on this one. I'm just going to use some of the word strips and labels from the kit to kind of be my sentiments for this layout and not really including any journaling. All this is a picture of me in my office, and I think I'm using the light of the computer. I think this may have been like a FaceTime photo. So that's kind of why it's got a lot of the blue tones in the photo, which work really well with the teal paper here that we're using. I felt that the teal paper was a little bit boxy, so I ripped the edges of that teal paper. I tried to use my ruler, and the paper is actually a fairly thick cardstock, so it's not as easy to rip with a ruler when you're trying to rip a very small amount off the edge. So I was trying to rip like 1/8 of an inch maybe off the edge, and that did not work when I was using the ruler. It just kept sliding out from under the ruler just because the paper's a little bit thicker, which is an awesome thing because a lot of times papers aren't thick enough. So the fact that the paper is a little bit thicker works really well. So I just had to use my fingers to rip those edges instead. Now it got a little complicated because the flowers run off the edge of the paper, but I basically just ripped the blue portion, so up to where the flowers are. And then the flowers are cut off obviously, and they're kind of boxy in the corners, but I really like the way that that looks, and I really like the kind of ripped edges of the blue. I was feeling like there wasn't quite enough on the layout. So I'm putting just a tiny little bit of this ripped yellow tissue paper. I think there's 2 or 3 sheets that came in my kit in the box. It was the way that it was packaged. So anytime things like that come in my kit, I keep them. If a kit comes in a little paper bag, I keep the paper bag. If there are any glassine bags, I keep the glassine bags. If there is any packaging that things are like if a sticker sheet has a cardstock backing to it that may have stripes or dots on it, I keep that. I keep everything and possibly use it on my layouts. That could be a bit of a problem whenever you start to build up your stash because you kind of get overloaded on things. But that's also why I try to utilize them when I'm getting my kit. So I'm utilizing this tissue paper now instead of just sticking it in a drawer and coming across it later. So I've got all of my florals down here. I use some fun foam or like foam adhesive to pop those up, and I just put them right on top of where they were already on the blue paper. This is where I'm trying to figure out what to do with the corners here. I felt like the corners were a little boxy, so I trimmed just one little flower out of the marketing card that came in the kit that talks about it being backyard blooms. I just trimmed out one of the blue flowers from there, and I'm going to layer it under where this yellow flower is on the corner, but I'm not going to do any more. I very easily could have cut all those little flowers out of that card, but I didn't necessarily feel like it added enough to this layout to take the time to do that. But I did pull all the little die cut flowers out and all the puffy sticker flowers out. I ended up only using the puffy stickers that were the flowers. I didn't use any of the die cuts because they were pretty much the same image over and over again. So I just decided to use a couple of the puffy stickers. I used 4 of them. There's an orange and yellow flower, a purple flower, a pink and red flower cluster, and a teal flower. And I've kind of put those around the paper flower clusters that I already cut out. I pulled a bunch of different word strips, and I'm using this as my journaling. I decided not to actually print any journaling because this is just a photo of me in my office. I think this is a FaceTime photo. I was FaceTiming someone and took a picture of myself on the camera, which is why it kind of has those blue tones to it because it's a computer lit picture. So the word strips that I picked just say, slow down and enjoy the day, makes me happy, just take it easy, relax and unwind, and positive vibes. My office, though it is a little busy and a little cluttered, my office is really my happy place. It is where I go to kind of unwind and escape. It's also where I come to work because I work from home for myself full time. It's where I come to scrapbook and be creative. It's where I come to sew and quilt because I also do that. I have an eBay and an Etsy shop, so it's where I come to kind of work on those shops. I do a lot in my office, but it's really a place I enjoy. It's my space. It's where I can just kind of do whatever I want to do. Now, my house, obviously, I can do that too, but my little office is like my haven, and it's totally piled full of stuff, completely piled full of stuff, but I like it that way. It always gives me something to do. I have pulled out this puffy sticker that says good feels, and so I'm taking a few of these little white tile alphas. This is the Hazel alphabet from Ellie's Studio. It's one of the only things I added to this kit to complete this page. And I just trimmed down those white tiles a little bit because they were a little bit large, and I put and then the rest of the title is good feels. So it says all the good feels. And I'm just going through all the supplies again in the kit and kind of scattering about. Then I had these little puffy purple asterisks. That was actually the end of a package from a kit a really long time ago. It was a Studio Calico kit that I got years ago. But I had purple toned, sorry, there's people coming in my house. You can hear them coming downstairs. It had purple tones to those asterisks, and I thought it worked really well because I don't actually have a lot of purple supplies. So I didn't have anything to kind of pull out the purple florals on this paper, but these asterisks were sitting on my desk and they worked amazingly. And I was able to go ahead and utilize those. They've been sitting on my desk for a while and I just haven't had a place to use the purple ones. So I used them here. I really was a little bit bothered by the straight line on the top of the blue paper and the bottom of the blue paper because I ripped the edges. So I tried to rip a little bit of the washi tape and put it on here, but I really don't like the way that looks. So I'm just going to pull it off and leave those as straight lines. And looking at it now, I really like the straight lines, but in the process of creating the layout, it was really bothering me because I already had the ripped edges and I felt like all of it should be ripped. I felt like my title was floating a little bit, so I thought about trimming out a little piece off of this tab and putting it under the title to kind of give it a grounding point, but I didn't like the way that that looked either, so I just pull it right back off. So I love adhesive, permanent adhesive, but I also love the fact that permanent adhesive is not really permanent for the first couple minutes. You can take things right back off and it works really well. Just straightening out one of the word strips here, and this really finishes off this layout. I really utilize the puffy stickers primarily, as well as the paper, and then a couple of the word strips. I think I only used one die cut, which was that banner that said, "Just take it easy." Oh, and that tab right there to the edge that you see. That was another die cut. And then other than that, I just made my title and finished out the layout. Fussy cutting the flowers was a lot of fun, and I really like the effect that it gives. I will have a few photos here in just a second where you can kind of see the dimension that that offers. And that finishes out this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed my process. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made this Traveler's Notebook kit into a 12 by 12 layout. And I hope you go check out my unboxing for this kit as well as the other kits that Cocoa Daisy offers. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will be back next week with another video.